40b. Do you see not simon? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the bottom if you have a real Gemara. Mem Amid Bais. So nuts. It. Oh. Yeah. This is a call out to those subscribers. Dr. Gershwin. Good morning. Thank you for listening. So, that's a friend of Dr. Stein. Not Simon, the Nun Ayin Tzadik is a acronym for the names that we're going to bring up here. So Rav Nachman, Rav Amram, and Rav Yitzchak. It's a way of remembering these three. It's the triumvirate. So here they're going to be together for this. So they say, Amri, Rav Nachman, Rav Amram, and Rav Yitzchak say, Ein Adam Ma'aseh Davar She'eino Shaloi. Do you want to know where they are on the chart? Rav Nachman's on the chart. I don't believe Rav Amram and Rav Yitzchak are there, but if you look at the Amiroim of Bavel, so you'll see Rav Nachman under Shmuel. And Rav Yitzchak is actually there, underneath.
These are Amiroim?
These are Amiroim. Rav Yitzchak is under Rav Nachman. And Rav Amram I don't see on the chart.
Yeah, they are.
So these three say, Ein Adam Ma'aseh Davar She'eino Shaloi. A person can't make something that's not his forbidden. This is different than Rav Huna yesterday. Rav Huna said yesterday a big chiddush. He said that once a person slaughters one simon of an animal, it makes it asur. If he's shechting it for the sake of avodah zarah, he's slaughtering it for idolatry. And we said we could have learned that you need a large action to make it asur. Rav Huna said that you need even a small action is good enough. And Rav Nachman, Rav Amram, Yitzchak, according to Rashi, that even a large action doesn't work. Rashi mentions that maybe it means that a small action doesn't work. He says no. What these three are saying is that even a large action doesn't make it asur.
Oh. Because it's only one.
Because it's not his.
By a gunov, if he makes a slight shinoi, doesn't it become his?
Right.
No, why can't he make a kavachomer then? If by a gunov he makes a shayt.
So you're right. If there would be a kinyan here, that he would be taking it. But he's more like a mazik. A mazik doesn't make it his. He may have to pay for it, but it doesn't mean that it becomes his. You follow? If he would make a kinyan, if he would take it and make a shinoi.
Even if he lifts up.
If he lifts it up, that would be a problem. Oh, so we were saying before that it was crouching down, it was Ravutza, it was on the ground. If he would lift it up to take it, then that would be different.
Well, because we also said the difference between the bird and the animal.
Yes, that's going to come up now. So, okay.
It was a good coffee, new coffee.
Meisvei, the Gemara has a question. He said, Ashayich et chatas b'Shabbos. So when shechs a korban chatas on Shabbos, bachutz, it's a problem. Chatas you don't bring on Shabbos. You don't bring a chatas outside the temple. It's bachutz, outside the temple. It's a sin offering. He's bringing a sin offering and he's doing these three sins. And la'avodas kichavim. And he's doing he's slaughtering it for the sake of an idol. So chayiv shalosh chatos is obligated to bring 3 chatos for the 3 sins that he committed. All in one go. All in one action. Ve'ukminan b'chatas ha'oif u'b'chatzi kanapagim. We needed to explain this, that it was talking about, because it says chatas, it's referring to a chatas ha'oif, a bird chatas. And we said that a chatas ha'oif, you only have to slaughter one pipe. And we said that the pipe was mostly slaughtered. And it was mostly severed, and not mostly. It was up 49% severed, and you only needed one little more cut to turn it into a shchita. So that one action did all 3. And we said, Taima, the chata sa'oifu, the kula bahadi hadadikas. It needs to be all three together. It needs to be a chatas oif in order to get all three together. What was our issue? Our issue was that if you start to slaughter an animal for the sake of avodah zarah, it's going to become an avodah zarah. Yeah. You lose the korban aspect. But according to Rav Amram, Rav Nachman, Rav Amram, and Rav Yitzchak, who owns the korban chatas? The kohen. Who's doing the slaughtering? The owner. I'm calling him the owner. The one that needs to bring that did the sin. He's bringing the korban chatas. But who's going to eat it is the kohenim. So he's slaughtering something that's not his. It's his own korban, but it's not his to be eaten. So we're asking that it's only a bird, right? That's the way we established it. Aval zevach lai, but it won't apply to an actual sacrifice. But if a person can't, we just turn to the page 41. But if a person can't make something that's not his forbidden, mai irya chata sa'oif. Usually the word mai means what, but over here it means why, and it's easier. It rhymes with why, mai, why, but that's not what it means usually. Mai irya, why specifically? Does it have to be a chata sa'oif? Afilu chatas behema nami. Even if it's a regular animal chatas, the same thing would apply. Why? Because he according to Rav Amram, according to Rav Nachman and Rav Amram and Rav Yitzchak, it never becomes a avodah zarah because it's not his. Even after he slaughters it, it doesn't become avodah zarah. See, we have to differentiate here that the animal doesn't become avodah zarah, doesn't become a sacrifice of avodah zarah, but the guy still worshipped avodah zarah. Remember we said someone bows down to a mountain. The mountain is not, you can still climb the mountain, it's not asur ba'ana, but the person still worshipped an idol. So here what we're saying is that the animal doesn't become invalid for a korban, but the person would still have to bring a chatas. So we're looking to get 3 chatayos out of one action, 3 sin offerings out of one action. He does a shchita. We thought before that if he does a small shchita, it's already going to become avodah zarah, because that's what Rav Huna said. Rav Huna said any little one siman, it becomes avodah zarah. So how do you finish shechting it? For a korban, it was already avodah zarah. So, but according to Rav Nachman, Rav Amram, and Rav Yitzchak, even if you finish shechting it, it doesn't become avodah zarah. So you can get all 3 at the same time. When did he serve avodah zarah? When he did the shechita, when he finishes it. When was he mechal Shabbos? When he does the shechita. When does he become a korban? When he does the shechita. All at the same moment. So why do we have to say it's a chatas if you could say that it's a chatas behema? Because it doesn't become forbidden because it's not his. Whose is it? It's the kohen's. That's our question. We mentioned this before, and we established that it was a chatas oif because we were going according to Rav Huna. But according to that, to these 3, it doesn't need to be a chatas oif, a bird offering. So let's say it's not a bird offering. Say it's a chatas behema. The problem is, then we didn't have to say that it's a chatas at all. We could have said maybe it's an oila. The reason why we're choosing a chatas is because we want to be able to say it's a chatas oif that only has one siman. And we want to be able to establish, in other words, we had reason to say that it's specifically a chatas with one siman, and that it was partially severed, and you only have one small action. As the way that the wording was set up requires us to say that that's a specific case. The Gemara answers, this is different. Why? Kivan the kanyale lekapara, because he acquired it for his atonement, kedidei dam, it's considered his. So we lose everything that we just said. Before we didn't want to say this in Rav Huna. According to Rav Huna, we said that
officially
it's officially the kohen's. But according to these 3, we can say there's 2 ways of looking at it. We can say that it's his also. There's 2 ways of looking at it. They hold that it's his, and therefore, you see, they hold that someone can't make something that's not his forbidden. If it's not his, they can't make it forbidden. But nevertheless, they're more lenient on what's considered his. they hold that if it's going to be an atonement for him, it's already considered his. Okay. Tashma. Come and listen. This is going to be interesting because we're going to quote this twice. It's very interesting. Again,
this is already quoted before.
Yes. This was our Mishnah, right? This was our Mishnah, but we're going to quote it twice today again.
Yeah.
Come and listen. Bais and Besakin. Two people are holding on to the knife. B'sheichtim. In the slaughtering. Echad l'shem echad mikolelu. One of them has intention for one of those idolatrous things that we mentioned in the Mishnah, whether it's to the mountains or to the valleys or to the seas or to the rivers. Ve'echad l'shem davar kasher. One of them is slaughtering for something that's acceptable. The rule is shchitasi psula. It's not valid. We have a problem here. How did it become pasul? It wasn't his. We're assuming here that the case is, the way Rashi puts it, is that the one that's slaughtering for the idol, was just helping out the one that owned it. According to our three opinions here, it wasn't his. We're talking about that they were actually partners. They're partners, so it's partially his. So he can make forbidden the part that he owns.
What if you say the opposite? He was the owner, and the guy shechting kosher wasn't the owner.
It'd be possible for sure. Here it's possible even when they're partners, right? It's for sure possible. If he owns it, for sure he can invalidate it. Question is, can you invalidate something that's not yours? Look, a guy that's angry at the people in the city will walk around bowing down to everyone's animal and then go, ha 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 ha, you can't use it, it's an idol. Right? So we said, no, there has to be some sort of action. That's what Rav Huna said. But now we're saying, according to Rav Nachman, Rav Amram, and Rav Yitzchak, that even an action doesn't do anything to it. It's a chiddush. Tashema, come and listen. Hamatami. If someone makes impure his friend's possessions, his friend's grain or food, that the person was keeping pure for whatever reason, for truma, he wants to, for holy things, he was keeping it pure, and someone goes over and makes it impure. This is called a hezek shein nikar. It's a damage that's not visible because it's just a spiritual damage. In one of these books, I don't remember if I read it in Marcus Lehman book or in The Fire in the Sky. There was this fellow that was trying to get the Talmud burnt. His name was Pfefferkorn. And so there was a debate between him and, I forget if it was Rabbi Joselman of Rosheim or Ruchlin, Ruchlin, the Christian, the Protestant, I guess, that protected the Talmud. But anyway, in there they asked the Pfefferkorn that was supposed to know the Talmud, he said, what does it mean, a hezek shein nikar? Which means a damage that's not visible. He says, oh yeah, those Jews, they damage something and then they put a pot over it, they cover it over, and then they don't have to pay for it. So he says, no, that's not the pshat, a hezek shein nikar. Hezek shein nikar is a damage that it's a spiritual damage. So, a kohen doesn't have the right thoughts on the sacrifice. He ruined the sacrifice, but it looks like everything looks great. So here, someone makes impure his friend's pure food, so everything looks fine, but it's v'hamadama, or he mixes in truma with chullin. What happens here is you lower the market value, you lower the amount of people you can sell this to. You lower the who can buy this, because a mixture of truma with chullin can only be sold to a kohen. So you can only sell it to a kohen, so you don't have the same pricing that you can do if you have a larger, more consumers. But menasech is you pour someone's wine to avodah zarah. So the wine is the same, but you poured it to avodah zarah. So the rule is that b'shoigig, if he did all of these b'shoigig, which means without intention, Rashi gives us 3 examples. Either he doesn't know it's truma, so he didn't know that he did anything wrong there, or he doesn't know that it's forbidden to pour wine to an idol. And the 3rd example is the most shocking. Or he thinks it's his own. That's considered a shogig. So he thinks it's his own, he's going to be pater. Rashi's girsa is pater milashalim, he's exempt from paying. Now, we make, even though we say hezek shein nikar is not considered a hezek, a damage that's not visible is not considered a real damage. But nevertheless, we make a knas if he does it b'mezid. We put a fine on him. We make him pay for it. Rashi speaks out something really interesting. It says there's a rule kamlei b'derabimine, which means that if someone shoots another person, he kills another person, so he gets the death penalty. Of course, if there's witnesses, but he doesn't have to pay for the guy's shirt for the bullet hole. So I don't know if that's true. There's a rule that you give him the larger punishment, and then the payment punishment just like gets absorbed in that, and he doesn't need to go through that. So here, he really has a larger punishment. Now the truth is he's doing a peshagig, so he doesn't have those punishments. But we say kamlei b'derabba minei, that the larger punishment goes even if he doesn't get the larger punishment, just because it's a sin that's guilty of the larger punishment. So we say that when he lifts it up to do something to it, this is Dr. Stein, this is similar to what you were saying, that if it comes at separate times, so like he's lifting it up first to do something, right when he lifts it up he already has an obligation. Then when he commits the crime, that's a little later, but the payment already was applicable from when he lifted it up before he did any crime. So, but b'mezid is chayiv. If he does it b'mezid, then he's chayiv to pay for it. The question is that according to these 3 people, he didn't do anything wrong when he poured it for an idol, because it wasn't his. He can't make it forbidden. Why does he have to pay? It's not forbidden. It wasn't his. Can't go over to someone else's wine and pour it. It's a question on Rav Nachman. And Rav Nachman on nuts, right? Rav Nachman and Rabbi Yitzchak, that how could it become forbidden when he pours the wine? That wasn't his wine.
What about a menasach v'amadama?
Oh, so the other ones, mitama v'amadama, that's more of a reality that it becomes tummy. But here, it all has to do with his thoughts. He poured it. Well, you would say that it's the location.
So nobody argues that tuma you can
right.
mitame something without a person's will.
Right. It's only the avodah zarah aspect.
If a person wants to go and mitame everybody on purpose, he can go ahead and do it. Even sheina shaloi.
Right. Right. That's interesting. The Gemara answers hachanami dislei shutfis begavei. Over here we're talking about that he was a partner. That was an easy answer. He was a partner, and that's how he was allowed to do it. So he has to pay for his friends, for half of it, for his friend's side, if he did it b'mezid, because he had no rights to do that to the other person's portion. The Gemara now says kitanai, that this is actually a machlekes tanai. Ovid kichavim shnisachini shel Yisrael shlei b'fnei avedis kichavim asru. A non-Jew that pours a Jew's wine, and it's not in front of an idol. Rashi says this is a chiddush, because in front of an idol, for sure it's asur. But even if it's not in front of an idol, but the non-Jew pours it, Rashi also says shenisach doesn't actually mean that he poured. It could also mean that he put his hand in it and he was shich. He swished it. He made waves in it. He pushed it around, So that would also be considered that it was the way that this is done in front of an idol, and he makes it forbidden. And he makes it asur even bahana, of course, because it's considered idolatrous worship.
Only a Jewish bartenders then.
Well, we're going to see it. This is interesting. This is going to be interesting. Yeah, you do need Jewish bartenders. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, matirin I say mipnei shnei dvarim. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira and Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. Now, Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava was the one that was killed by the Romans for giving smicha.
One of the Sarah.
Yeah, he was pierced like a sieve. It says like a
Pin
like a
300 spears.
300 spears, right?
You know what? These guys are above the line here.
Where do you see it?
I mean, they're above Hillel.
No.
The sons of Ben Basara were the whole mice of the Hillel, right?
You're right. That's the Bnei Beseira was with Hillel. However, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira was in the time of the temple because he had the story with the non-Jew that tried to eat the Korban Pesach. And he told them, why didn't ask for the fat tail? They didn't give you the good part. So when they got there, they said, the aliyah, the fat tail, that goes on the altar. You don't eat that. So who told you to get that? They said, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. They said, something's fishy. And they found out he wasn't really Jewish. He was just coming for the Kiddush.
Because you're in Netzivim
and Netzivim, right. He was in Netzivim. Now, Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava was the one that gave smicha to Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon.
Well, you're in Netzivim, but you're controlling the whole show.
I don't see him in here. He's not so common in the. But the Gemara tells us, I think in Baba Kama the Gemara says wherever it says Ma'aseh b'chassid echad, it's either Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira or Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, right?
Ma'aseh what?
B'chassid echad. Whenever it says there's a story with the chassid, who's the chassid? I think it's either Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira or Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. Okay, so these two say that it's permissible. First of all, Yayin Nesach needs to be in front of the Avodah Zarah. He could also say that you have no right to make something of mine forbidden. So we see that there's two opinions here. That means that Rav Huna before that said, Rav Huna from yesterday that says that someone can make something forbidden from someone else even with a small action. That would go according to the Tanakama. But Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava and Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira would definitely argue on Rav Huna. Rav Nachman, Rav Amram, Rav Yitzchak Amri, Rav Amram, these three that we just mentioned, they say, Afil Lamanda Amar, Adam Oiser Davar Sheina Shaloi, even according to the Tanakama, that says that a person can make something forbidden even if it's not theirs. Hanimili Kuti. That's only if it's a Kuti. I assume it means even a non-Jew, any sort of non-Jew.
Yeah, he says guy.
Oh, you have a different version?
Doesn't even.
It doesn't say kuti bayin?
He changes on him.
The censor. Aval Yisrael, but if it would be a Jew, then Letzurika Mechaven. The Jew doesn't really believe in Avodah Zarah. He just wants to tease him and to torment him. So that's why he's pouring it, but it doesn't really become usher there. In other words, even according to the Tanakama, that holds a person can make something that's not his own forbidden, could make his friend things forbidden. That's only if it would be a non-Jew where he actually believes in it. But if it would just be to torment him, so then that would be he doesn't believe in it, won't really become usher. Tashema. This is the interesting thing. I've never seen this, where we go back to the same thing that we said before, and we go over this. We're going to have a machlekes Rashi Tosfos why we're doing this. Let's see. Tashemar, come and listen. Two people are holding a knife for sheichten and they're slaughtering. You remember this from 7 years ago. One of them has in mind for one of the idolatrous practices, for he's slaughtering for one of the idols that we mentioned, either to the sea or to the mountains. And one of them has in mind for something that's permissible. The shchita is invalid. We said before that a person can't make something that's not his own forbidden, according to Rav Nachman, Rav Amram, and Rav Yitzchak. Now we said that there is an opinion, the Tanakama holds that they can, but that would only be if it would be a non-Jew. That would only be if it would be a non-Jew. But if it would be a Jew, then it would be Litzuri Kamachavin. He's only trying to torment him. Now, he's trying to torment him, so then why does it become forbidden here? We're talking about another Jew is doing the shechita. If it would be a non-Jew, then it would be it wouldn't have to do with his thoughts. A non-Jew can't shech. So it must be that it's a Jew. If it's a Jew, why is it becoming aser?
The whole machlokes of Nats
And Rafuna.
is that only in Avodah Zarah?
That's what it appears to be.
Like,
Yeah, we're only using Avodah Zarah for the questions. The Gemara answers, Hachmai Eskinan bi Yisrael Mumar. We're dealing with the Yisrael Mumar. Yisrael Mumar means a Jew that's known to worship idols. He's a Mumar. He
says Yisrael b'Shemad.
You have him Yisrael Meshumad? That's what you have also? You have Yisrael Meshumad?
Not right.
renegade.
What does yours say?
Shimon.
What's the difference?
Meshumad means that he converted out. And a Mumar just means that he commits a sin regularly. And the question is why the censor, what they were concerned of, why the censor had to switch it to Yisrael Mumar rather than to say Meshumad. Meshumad, it sounds like he probably put back from an old manuscript before the printers.
Because it was disrespectful
To the guy.
Say, oh, if somebody becomes like you, he's like,
Then we don't accept it.
He has a question over here. He says, if it's Yisrael Mumma, then the shechita is invalid.
Taisvis. Where are you asking from? That's Taisvis on Daf Yudalid. Excellent. Tell us what type of coffee you had. No, the Taisvis on Daf Yudalid. The Gemara on Daf Yudalid says that if someone shechts on Shabbos or on Yom Kippur, the shechita is kosher. He shechted on Shabbos and on Yom Kippur. So Taisvis asks over there, he says, why is it kosher? He's a mummer. A mummer that shechts isn't kosher. Comes along over here, we say, oh, it's Yisrael mummer. Why is it not kosher? Because he had these specific thoughts, and that's what he wasn't allowed to shech. It's Yisrael mummer. Taisus over there gave two answers. Remember, Taisus says maybe he never did it in public. Maybe he's shechting on Shabbos in private. It's not considered a mummer b'farhesia. Second answer was he only did it once. Doesn't become a mummer from his first time. What's going to be over here? It's going to be over here. You have to go through that twice. How do they answer? Is there an answer? Do they give you the answer?
He gives the answer to us. He says that it's the first time he's doing it.
Okay.
It's his first offense.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Okay, excellent. Let's say, I want to point out something over here. There's Machlekes Rashi and Tosfos. Rashi says, we just answered this, that it's Yisrael Mumar, right? That's what the Gemara answered. Rashi says that we could have said that he's a partner as well, like we just did at the beginning of today. We said that this case he was a partner. So when do we have a problem? Only if it's not his own. But if it's his own, then there's no problem. So we could have said that it's a partner. So Rashi says that it's two possible answers here. Either it's a partner, or it's a Yisrael Mumar. Tosfos says, if if you see Taisvis, Yisrael Mumar, he says, he quotes Rashi, that we could have given two answers. Earlier today we gave that it's a partner, and that's why he can make it forbidden when the second person is shechting and having those thoughts, so it's considered his own. But here we're giving another answer. He quotes that's Rashi's. He says, Taisus is very unsatisfied. He said, so why do we ask it again if the same answer still applies? Rather, Taisus says that the answer of being a partner doesn't help. Now that the Gemara established that if it's a Jew, we don't accept it. We don't accept it as becoming forbidden because we say that he's just going to torment him. So even if it's a partner, partners will also torment their partner. So it shouldn't really become forbidden. That's Taisus' opinion. That even if it's a partner and it's his own, but he's doing it just to torment his friend. Why will he do it? He's ruining his own thing. The commentaries say, they quote Shimshon, Tamas Nafshi and Pelishtim. When Shimshon grabs the pillars, he says, I'll die together with the Pelishtim. So he wants to get his partner. He's ready to lose his own thing as long as the partner gets. So Tosfos says that even if the person has a partnership in it, he still can't make it forbidden, unless he would be a Yisrael Mumar, unless he would. And it's actually Machlekes the Rambam in the Rosh. If a partner shechts for Avodah Zarah, the Rambam holds that it does become forbidden. And the Rosh holds that it doesn't become forbidden. The Rosh says it's l'tziuri kamachavin. He's just doing it to make him, to torment him. And it doesn't become forbidden. And that would be really based on the Machlekes Rashi Tosfos. Is the Gemara giving me an alternative answer? Which that's what Rashi would say, and that would be that a partner would make it forbidden on his own. That would be the Rambam's opinion, like Rashi. Or the Rosh holds like Tosfos, that you lose the answer of being a partner, and it would only work if it's a Yisrael Mumar, if we know that this is his thoughts regularly. Okay.
Because a Yisrael Mumar can't be a partner?
No, because even if it's a partner, a regular Yisrael that's a partner, if he's not a Mumar, we would say that he's doing it just to torment his friend, and he doesn't really believe in it.
Even though he has a chelik in it?
Even though he has the chelik, but Tamas Nafshi and Pelishtim, he wants to die together with the Philistines, and he doesn't care if he loses everything of his own, as long as the other guy doesn't get it. To talk to the psychologist, which one is who's really
like the court of Shlomo with the baby,
right.
Two mothers. She said, "Cut him in half."
Right. No, but here we're saying that the actual owner is willing to give up as long as the other one. Here we're saying more than that.
That's the end of that partnership.